The unhinged heiress was in love with me. She'd press needles into my hand, just so I would always remember her. When I cried, she laughed. When I laughed, she made me cry. I was always trying to escape, but I never succeeded, because without me, she would lose her mind. But then, on graduation day, she told me she was done with me. My name is Leo Foster, and I was bought by Scarlet Reed. She told me that herself, as far back as I can remember. Leo, I traded a box of chocolates for you. Scarlet would say with a grin, pinching my cheek. Her grip was always too strong, and it always hurt. But I never dared to pull away. Do you hear me? You're mine. I hear you, I'd whisper. Louder. I'm yours. Idée short. She would smile then, letting go of my face to pat my head. Good boy. But I knew another red mark would be blooming on my cheek. When I was 5, I was watching the kid next door, Kevin, make mud pies and didn't answer her right away. She got angry. She dragged me into the backyard and whipped my legs with a thin branch. Why didn't you answer when I called you? It hurts. I whimpered, my eyes welling up. Don't you dare cry. Cry and I'll lock you in the basement. I instantly choked back the tears, refusing to let them fall. She knew the dark was my greatest fear. When she was done, she threw the branch aside. Give me your hands. Timidly, I held them out. She pulled me over to the outdoor faucet and washed them meticulously. You're filthy. You're not allowed to play in the mud. I'm the only one who gets to make you dirty, understand? I nodded, not really understanding at all. The way she washed my hands felt almost gentle. But I was still terrified. At 7, we started school. We were in the same class. Leo, you're only allowed to play with me, she said during recess, her eyes locked on mine. Okay, I agreed, though my gaze drifted to the boys playing kickball on the field. It looked like fun. Where are you looking? Her voice turned icy. I snapped my eyes back to her. Nowhere. She huffed, but didn't say anything else. The next day, I found a dead dragonfly in my pencil case. Its wings had been torn off. I screamed. Scarlet walked over, asking softly, what's wrong? I looked in her eyes and suddenly understood. And nothing. I stammered, quickly closing the case. Good, she smiled, handing me a piece of candy. This is for you. The candy was sweet, but I wanted to cry. At 10, I tried to fight back for the first time. She had thrown my favorite wooden toy car, the only thing I'd left from my dad, into the creek. He had secretly slipped it to me, even though her family had essentially bought me after bailing mine out of a catastrophic debt. You're only allowed to love the things I give you. Scarlet stood on the bank, hands on her hips. I watched the toy car bob on the surface, and tears burst from my eyes. I hate you. He screamed to her. It was the first time I'd ever said that to her. She froze, and then her eyes turned terrifying. She walked toward me, step by step. I scrambled backward. What did you just say? She asked, her voice dangerously quiet. I hate you. I summoned my courage and yelled it again, then turned to run. She was faster. She grabbed the collar of my shirt and dragged me into the nearby woods. Let me go. I struggled. She pinned me to the ground, straddling me so I couldn't move. I bought you. Your life belongs to me. Who gave you the right to hate me? She squeezed my neck. It wasn't hard enough to kill, but I couldn't breathe. Let go. Say it. Say you're mine. She shrieked, her eyes bloodshot. I'm yours. I was terrified. I had to give in. She let go. Seeing the red marks on my neck, she suddenly started to cry. She hugged me, sobbing brokenly. Leo, don't hate me. Please don't hate me. I just love you so much. I lay there stiffly in her arms, completely lost. From then on, I knew there were 2 Scarlets. One was a monster. The other seemed pitiful, and that made me even more afraid. At 12, our class went on a field trip. I was laughing and joking with a girl in my group. She helped me pick up a sandwich I dropped. Thanks, I said with a smile. No problem, the girl smiled back. Scarlet was on the other side of the clearing, talking to a teacher. I thought she hadn't seen. That night, back at her house, I had just gotten into bed when I heard her call from downstairs. Get down here. Her voice was cold. What? It's late. Now. I ran downstairs in my pajamas. She was standing under the porch light, holding a small pocket knife. My legs felt like jelly. Scarlet, what are you doing? Was she pretty? The girl from today? She asked with a smile, stroking the blade with her thumb. No, not really. You smiled at her. Her own smile vanished. You only get to smile at me. I am sorry. I said immediately. Hold out your hand. I held it out, trembling. She pressed the tip of the knife into my palm, just enough to break the skin. A sharp sting, and a bead of blood welled up. I bit my lip, refusing to cry out. She leaned down and licked the blood from my hand. Her lips were soft and cool. I was shaking uncontrollably. This is a punishment, she said, looking up, her lips still tinged with red. You are mine, inside and out. She took a Band-Aid from her pocket and carefully placed it over the cut. Remember this feeling. Next time you smile at someone else, it won't just be your hand. She turned and walked back inside. I stood there for a long time, unable to move. At 14, I think I started to understand what a crush felt like. Jessica, the most popular girl in our grade, passed me a note. It said she liked me. Terrified, I threw it away immediately. But Scarlett saw. She didn't say anything, just gave me a little smile. After school that day, she kissed me on the cheek. It was the first time I'd ever blushed. Leo, you're only allowed to like me, she whispered in my ear. Okay, I said, my heart pounding. The next day, Jessica wasn't at school. The rumor was she fell down a flight of stairs and broke her leg. I looked at Scarlett in horror. She was taking notes, the picture of perfect concentration. Her profile was beautiful. Sensing my stare, she turned and gave me a sweet smile. I immediately looked down, my heart hammering against my ribs. Was it fear or something else? I didn't know. At 15, I learned to be two-faced. I didn't dare defy her openly, but I started doing things in secret, like writing in a journal. Scarlett is a demon. I need to get away from her. One day I'm going to run so far away. Writing it felt like a small act of revenge. But I forgot that everything I owned she had given me, including the journal. She found it easily. That night, she called me over to her family's mansion. Her parents were out of town. The housekeeper was there, but the housekeeper answered to Scarlett. She took me to her bedroom and locked the door. She threw my journal onto the bed. The color drained from my face. Explain, she said, sitting on a velvet armchair like a queen interrogating a prisoner. I was just messing around. My voice shook. Messing around? She picked up the journal and read aloud. Scarlett is a demon. She stood up and walked toward me. I need to get away from her. She slapped me across the face. It stung, my ear ringing. One day I'm going to run so far away. Another slap. My face was on fire. I'm sorry. Scarlett, I'm so sorry. I cried, begging her. She pulled out a lighter and lit the corner of the journal. The flames leaped up, illuminating her face. She looked like she was smiling. You want to run? She asked. I shook my head frantically. You can't, Leo. She watched the journal turn to ash. You're mine, living or dead. She pulled me up and pushed me onto the bed. She was surprisingly strong, pinning me down. I'm going to give you a lesson you'll never forget. She produced a needle and a small bottle of India ink. No, Scarlett, please no. I struggled wildly, but she was prepared. She had rope. She tied my hands to the bedposts. She dipped the needle in the ink and began to prick my skin right over my heart. It was agonizing. I was sobbing, unable to catch my breath. Does it hurt? She asked, her hand never wavering. Yes, it hurts so much. Remember this pain, she whispered, and remember who you belong to. She finally stopped. My chest was raw, stinging, definitely bleeding. She untied the ropes and blew gently on the wound. There, don't cry, she said, holding me like a child. Now you'll never, ever forget me. She made me look in the mirror. There, tattooed crudely over my heart, was a single sharp letter. Yes. She had branded me with her name. I got sick after that, a raging fever. She came to my room every day, feeding me pills, wiping my forehead with a cool cloth. You have to get better, Leo, she'd say, holding my hand, her eyes red. I'll die without you. I looked at her, unable to tell if she was an angel or a devil. Maybe she was both. At 16, I grew taller than her. She seemed delighted by this, always ruffling my hair. My Leo is all grown up. But I was still scared of her. Obedience had become a habit. There was a new kid at school, a real tough guy that all the girls liked. He made the mistake of trying to mess with Scarlett, pulling her hair in the hallway. Scarlett didn't react at all, just gave him a cold look. The next day, the new kid was gone. The rumor was his family's business suddenly went bankrupt and they had to move away overnight. I looked at her. She just gave me an innocent smile. What is it, Leo? And nothing. I looked away. At 17, we were in high school, and the pressure of college applications was immense. Scarlett had perfect grades and insisted on tutoring me. You have to get into the same university as me, she commanded. My grades aren't that good. I mumbled. Then you'll work until they are, she said, digging her nails into my arm. Or I'll lock you in the basement, and you'll do nothing but study. I knew she meant it, so I studied until my eyes blurred. She watched over me every day. If I couldn't solve a problem, I didn't get to eat. I'd work on problem sets until I was crying from frustration. She would just sit there and watch me. When I was done, she'd hand me a tissue. Finished crying? Keep going. I hated her so much. But my grades shot through the roof. At 18, we were practically adults. She was becoming more and more beautiful, and guys were always asking her out. For the first time, I felt what it was like to be jealous. And for this marking period, the top 2 spots go to Scarlett Reed and Ethan Cole again. Don't they make a perfect power couple? Our homeroom teacher announced with a smile. The whole class cheered and whistled. I stared miserably at my own scores, then glanced at the back of Ethan's head. Scarlett, sitting next to me, turned to look at me, her eyes sparkling. Leo, are you mad? She whispered, a thrill in her voice. No, I said flatly. She suddenly grinned and grabbed my hand under the desk. I only like you. She breathed in my ear, her warm breath making it tingle. Ethan's a nobody. My ears burned, and my heart raced. But a second later, she dug her nails into the soft flesh of my inner thigh and twisted hard. I almost jumped out of my seat. The whole class looked at me. Is there a problem, Mr. Foster? The teacher asked, frowning. And no, sir. I answered through the pain. Scarlett casually let go, giving me a sweet smile. Pay attention, she whispered. I rubbed the bruising spot on my leg, furious but helpless. 3 months before the SATs, Scarlett became a monster. You got this question wrong again. She slammed my practice test on the table. Are you an idiot? I flinched. I'll do it again. No time. She grabbed the metal compass from the desk and stabbed the back of my left hand. Ow! I cried out as a drop of blood beaded on my skin. She stared at the blood, her eyes going hazy. Does it hurt? She asked softly. I nodded, tears stinging my eyes. Good. Pain helps you remember, she said, leaning over to lick the blood off. Next time you get it wrong, I'll do it 10 times. I trembled. Every night, she forced me to study until 2 in the morning. When I started to doze off, she'd prick my thigh with a needle to keep me awake. We have to get into the same university, she'd say with each jab. If we don't, I'll kill you, then myself. I believe her. Somehow, I survived until the exams were over. The moment I walked out of the testing center, she dragged me into a waiting Uber. Scarlett, where are we going? I asked nervously. She didn't speak, just squeezed my hand tightly, a strange anxiety in her eyes. The car stopped in front of her house. Her parents were gone. The second we were inside, she shoved me into her bedroom and locked the door. Scarlett, my voice shook. She started taking off her clothes. I was stunned and turned to run. She grabbed my shirt and threw me onto the bed. Today, I'm going to make you remember forever, she said, climbing on top of me and starting on my clothes. You're mine, inside and out. I struggled, but she ordered me to stop. Don't, Scarlett, please, I begged, crying. She ignored me, leaning down to bite my collarbone. It hurt, but I had no fight left in me. She kissed me, held me, and took from me the one thing I had left. Afterward, she traced the S she had carved over my heart. Now, she said with satisfaction, you're completely mine. A couple of months later, our SAT scores came back. I was so nervous my fingers were trembling. Scarlett checked hers first, 1580. More than enough for Northwood University, an Ivy League, one of the best schools in the country. Your turn, she said, handing me her phone. I typed in my information. 1490. Not bad, I said, breathing a sigh of relief. I should be able to get into my second choice. Her face clouded over. What's your second choice? Northbridge Tech. The words died in my throat. Fine. She turned to go to her computer, about to change her chosen university. Just then, her parents came home. Scarlett. Wonderful news, her mother said excitedly. The admissions office from Northwood called. They're offering you a full scholarship. Scarlett's expression froze. What about Leo? She asked. Now, Her father frowned. His 1490 won't get him into Northwood. Then I'm changing my application. Scarlett insisted. Her mother shook her head. Absolutely not. You're going to Northwood, and Leo will go to his second choice. It will be fine. No, it's not fine. Scarlett screamed. He has to be with me. Her father's face hardened. That's ridiculous. Leo is not your accessory, Scarlett. He has his own life to live. It was the first time I'd ever heard anyone speak to her like that. She stared at them, stunned, then burst into tears. You don't understand, she sobbed, running to her room. That night, she snuck into my room. Gap year, she whispered in my ear. Retake the SATs. Apply to Northwood next year. Scarlett, do it, she hissed. You'll do it again. I shook my head. I don't want to take a gap year. She slapped me. My head snapped to the side. You dare disobey me? She grabbed a paring knife from the fruit bowl on my desk. Do you want me to scar that face of yours? Shaking, I could only nod. The next day, her parents practically forced her onto a train to campus. Before she left, she kissed me hard on the station platform, biting my lip until it bled. I'll see you at Northwood in a year, she said, licking the blood from my mouth. Don't even think about running. I'll be watching. The train pulled away. I touched my throbbing lip, my mind a mess. Back home, the house felt empty and terribly lonely. My gap year was harder than I imagined. Without Scarlett around, I was lost. Worse, the people who had been too afraid of Scarlett to bother me before now saw their chance. Hey, if it isn't Scarlett Reed's little puppy, a group of guys from my old class cornered me at the local library. The leader was Mark Rollins. Is the little puppy lonely now that his master's gone? I tried to walk away, but they blocked me. I heard she basically bought you, Mark said, shoving me. How much did you cost? Maybe I'll buy you for a while. His friends howled with laughter. I clenched my fists, remembering Scarlett's warning. No fighting. Leave me alone, I said quietly. What was that? Can't hear you. Mark leaned in. What's wrong, puppy? Can't bark. I pushed past him and ran. Their laughter followed me out the door. Where are you running? Off to find your master. After that, the bullying escalated. My review books were torn. My chair at the library was covered in ink. A dead rat was put in my backpack. I didn't tell Scarlett. I was afraid she would just mock me for being weak. It came to a head one afternoon when they cornered me in the restroom of a coffee shop. Have a nice nap, puppy. I heard Mark's voice from outside the stall door. They jammed it shut. We'll let you out when we feel like it. I banged on the door. Let me out. I have a tutoring session. No one answered. I heard them leave, and then the sound of a bucket being upended. Ice-cold water poured over the top of the stall, soaking me instantly. I huddled in the corner, shivering. I don't know how long I was in there. A barista found me when they were closing up. My God, kid, what happened to you? He forced the door open. By then I was running a fever, my whole body burning. My tutor called Scarlett's parents, who picked me up, lying in bed, delirious. I had only one thought. Scarlett can never find out about this. I swallowed hard. Where's your roommate? Moved out, she said, tossing me a pair of her silk pajamas. Change. But these are for women. Change or get out. Her eyes went cold. I fumbled into the pajamas. They were tight, clinging to my skin, smelling of her. Scarlett nodded, satisfied, then let her towel drop. I squeezed my eyes shut, but she slapped me. Look at me, she ordered, grabbing my chin. Did you miss me this past year? Yes. My voice trembled. Prove it. She yanked my hair and pushed me toward the bed. 2 hours later, I was collapsed on the sheets, drenched in sweat. Scarlett lit a cigarette. It was the first time I'd ever seen her smoke. Student council president, debate team captain, top of my class. She blew a smoke ring. Everyone here thinks Scarlett Reed is perfect. An ash fell on my chest, making me flinch from the tiny burn. Does it hurt? She smiled, grinding out the cigarette on my skin. The pressure I'm under every day hurts more than this. She suddenly wrapped her hand around my throat. So you're going to be my punching bag. Understand? I nodded with difficulty. She let go and laughed. Good boy. After that, life on campus was quiet, until I met Sophie Miller. Sophie was in my major, a class over. Leo, could you help me with this problem? She came up to my table in the library, holding a textbook. I instinctively scanned the room. No sign of Scarlett. Sure, it's just this. I explained it as quickly and quietly as I could. Did you get that? Sophie smiled. You explained things so clearly. Thanks. She started to leave, then turned back. Hey, do you want to be partners in a lab tomorrow? My throat went dry. And no thanks, I already have a partner. Oh, who? She asked, tilting her head. My roommate, I lied. Sophie's smile faltered. Oh, okay then. After she left, I let out a breath I didn't realize I was holding. My palms were slick with sweat. The next day in lab, my roommate happened to be out sick. Leo, want to be partners now? Sophie asked. I hesitated, then nodded. Okay. During the experiment, Sophie accidentally knocked over a beaker, splashing a chemical on my shirt. Oh my God, I'm so sorry, she said, frantically grabbing paper towels to wipe it off. I took a step back. It's fine, I'll get it. Leo, a familiar voice called from the doorway. My blood ran cold. Scarlett was standing there, her eyes fixed on Sophie's hand, which was still pressed against my chest. Sophie snatched her hand back, her face flushed with embarrassment. Scarlett said nothing. I stood frozen, bracing for the inevitable punishment. But it never came. She just turned and walked away. For the next few days, Scarlett acted like I didn't exist. Worse, Alex was suddenly by her side everywhere she went. Scarlett, about this problem set, I finally worked up the courage to stop her on the quad. She walked right past me. Come on, Alex, let's go. Alex shot me a look I couldn't decipher. My heart felt like it was being shredded. In the dining hall, they ate together. In the library, they studied side by side. On campus, they were always walking together. I never saw them kiss or do anything more, but it was enough to drive me crazy. Leo, are you okay? Sophie asked with concern. You look terrible. I shook my head. I'm fine. Is it because of Scarlett and Alex? She asked carefully. I heard they are together now. They're not, I said, the words tasting like ash. Sophie handed me a bottle of water. Here. As I took it, I saw Scarlett watching us from across the lawn. Her gaze was like ice. But then she turned, linked her arm with Alex's, and rested her head on his shoulder. I crushed the plastic bottle in my hand. That night, I got drunk. Lau, where are you going? My roommate Josh tried to stop me. I shoved him off. To find Alex. I found him at campus bar. Scarlett was standing next to Alex, laughing at something he said. I grabbed a beer bottle and stormed toward them. Lau, Scarlett yelled. The bottle stopped an inch from Alex's head. Scarlett had caught my wrist. Let go. I struggled. She slapped me across the face. Are you sober now? I stumbled back, the bottle shattering on the floor. You're coming with me, she said, dragging me out by my collar. Alex wisely didn't follow. She shoved me into a taxi and gave the address of her off-campus apartment. Scarlett, I mumbled, leaning my head on her shoulder. She pushed me away. Shut up. Back at her place, she threw me on the bed. Take off your clothes, she ordered. My fingers fumbled with the buttons. She tore my shirt open in frustration, buttons flying everywhere. Ow! I protested meekly. She grabbed my chin. Does it hurt? Do you have any idea how much it hurt to see you with Sophie? Guilt washed over me. I'm sorry. Sorry doesn't fix it, she sneered. Now you get to feel the same pain. She ripped my pants off. You know Alex was just an act, right? I mumbled, yeah. $100 a day, she said, biting my collarbone. Just to see the look on your face. I sucked in a sharp breath. Scarlett, but you, her nails dug into my back. You actually have feelings for Sophie. I don't. I denied it instantly. She yanked my hair. 5 straight days. The library, the lab, the dining hall. I saw everything. Her knee pressed between my legs. Now, I'm going to make your life a living hell. I saw the glint of needles in her hand. I was terrified, but I didn't try to get away. The next morning, I woke up aching all over. Scarlett was already dressed, putting on makeup. You're awake? She asked without turning around. I tried to sit up and groaned in pain. She walked over and squeezed my face. Remember this feeling? I nodded. She put down her lipstick and climbed onto the bed, straddling me. From now on, I get to check your phone whenever I want. Okay. You will sync your class schedule with mine. Okay. And you will report to my apartment every single night. Okay. She kissed my forehead, satisfied. Good boy. Then her hand closed around my neck, just tight enough to cut off my air. And if I ever see you say one extra word to another woman again, I won't. I choked out. She let go, her expression turning gentle again. That's the Leo, the first like. We quickly became the couple everyone on campus envied. College flew by. Before I knew it, Scarlett was graduating. She landed a high-paying investment banking job in New York City. "We'll get married next year after you graduate," she said, shoving her corporate card into my pocket. "All my money is yours." I try to push it back. "I don't want your money." "It's not up to you," she said, pinching my chin. "What's mine is yours." After she graduated, she was consumed by her job, often not getting home until the early morning. My dorm room filled up with luxury watches and designer clothes she bought for me. My roommates were sick with envy. A month before my own graduation, I was hanging out in my room. "Dude, did your girlfriend send you another watch?" my roommate Josh asked, staring at my wrist. "Is that a Patek? That's got to be like 30 grand. I irritably took the watch off and threw it in a drawer. "You want it? It's yours." "Seriously?" Josh reached for it, but I slammed the drawer shut. "Touch it and you lose a hand," I snarled. He backed off. "Geez, just a joke." Scarlett's call came through. Downstairs, a black Mercedes was parked in front of the dorm. She was in a power suit, looking breathtakingly beautiful. Every guy walking by was staring. "What are you looking at?" she snapped, and they all quickly looked away. I slipped into the passenger seat. "You're off early." "Took the day off." She handed me a folder. "These are options for the wedding in Iceland next month. Pick one." I flipped through brochures of glass chapels under the northern lights and ceremonies on black sand beaches. "Are we really doing this?" "What do you mean?" She pinched my thigh. "Having second thoughts?" "Ow, no." I grab her hand. "I just mean, isn't a little fast." Her eyes turned to ice. "Leo, you had better not give me any other answer." I changed my tune immediately. "Let's do it. The second I graduate, we'll do it." She finally smiled, leaning over to kiss me. "Good." We drove to her apartment. This past year, she bought a penthouse, all cash, and put it in my name. "The security code is your birthday," she told me. "You can run, but you can't hide." I followed her upstairs and saw a candlelight dinner set up on the table. "What's the occasion?" I racked my brain. "Just eat," she said, pouring me a glass of wine. "Stop asking questions." Halfway through dinner, she said, "I quit my job." "What?" My fork clattered onto my plate. "Why?" "For our honeymoon," she said casually. "The job isn't as important as you." "Are you crazy?" I said, standing up. "That was an amazing job." "Who are you to question me?" she said, her eyes narrowing. "Leo, are you looking for a fight?" I immediately backed down. I was just worried about you." She stood up and straddled my lap, grabbing my shirt collar. "Listen to me. After the wedding, I'm going to open a flower shop. I'll be there to pick you up after work, make you dinner every night." The image was so beautiful it made my eyes sting. "Scarlett, shut up," she whispered, nibbling my earlobe. "If you say anything cheesy, I'll punch you." She was unusually gentle that night. She didn't hurt me like she usually did. I woke up in the middle of the night and saw her on the balcony, smoking, her shoulders shaking. On the day of my graduation ceremony, she showed up in a white dress. Every guy in the auditorium was looking at her. I jealously wrapped an arm around her waist. "What?" She raised an eyebrow. "Staking my claim," I said. She smiled, pinching the soft flesh at my side. "Pathetic." After the ceremony, she said she needed to use the restroom. I was waiting for her outside when I realized her purse was still with me. I opened it to look for a tissue for her, and a folded piece of paper fell out. "Metropolitan Hospital Center, Oncology Department." I read aloud before I could stop myself. The blood drained from my body. "Patient, Scarlett Reed. Diagnosis, stage 4 pancreatic cancer. Prognosis, approximately 12 months." The date on the report was from 6 months ago. My legs gave out. I had to grab the wall to keep from collapsing. Just then, I heard her voice behind me. "Lao." I turned. Her face was ashen. "You saw it," she whispered. "Why didn't you tell me?" I roared, tears streaming down my face. "You've been sick for half a year." Students walking by stopped to stare. She grabbed my arm and pulled me toward the parking garage. Once we were in the car, she finally broke down. "What good would it have done? So you could watch me die. We can fight it." I grabbed her shoulders. "Modern medicine is incredible." "It's incurable," she screamed. "I've spoken to the best specialists in the world. There's no hope." She suddenly went quiet, a bitter smile on her face. "You should be happy. No one will ever hit you, or scream at you, or control your life again." "Bullshit." It was the first time I'd ever sworn at her. How am I supposed to live without you? She stared at me, speechless. I pulled out my phone. I'm looking up the best cancer centers right now. Enough. She snatched the phone from my hand. We're not getting married. We're not going to Iceland. It's all meaningless. She started the car and sped home. I ran after her into the apartment and found her throwing clothes into a suitcase. Where are you going? I blocked her path. Leo, let's break up, she said, her movements frantic. I'll only drag you down. Never. I grabbed the suitcase and threw it across the room. You listen to me, Scarlet Reed. You are not getting rid of me in this lifetime. She raised her hand to hit me. I caught her wrist. Go on, hit me, just like you always do. Her hand trembled in midair. She started to sob. Now, please, just let me die. I pulled her into my arms and held on for dear life. I've got you, Scarlet. Don't be scared. She had a high fever that night. I stayed up with her until morning. When she woke up, she saw my bloodshot eyes. You fool, she whispered, touching my cheek. I'm not worth it. I took out the diagnosis report and stared at it for a long time. From now on, your life is mine. 3 days later, I had us on a flight to Germany. She was asleep in the first-class cabin. I was hunched over a medical dictionary, trying to teach myself a new language. What are you doing? She asked when she woke up. I was filling out a form. Applying to university, I said without looking up. Heidelberg University School of Medicine. Are you insane? She snatched the application. Your degree is in computer science, which is why I have to start over as an undergrad, I said calmly. It should only take about 5 years to get my license to practice. She was shaking with rage. Now, I don't need you to sacrifice your life for me. Too late, I said, kissing her pale lips. This time, I'm in charge, Scarlet. You belong to me, and I decide whether you live or die. The winters in Germany were brutal. We lived in a small apartment near the hospital. Her condition was getting worse. I went to classes during the day, took care of her at night, and studied in the early morning hours, surviving on 4 hours of sleep. Take your pills, I said, watching to make sure she swallowed the experimental drugs. They taste disgusting, she grimaced. Take them or I'll hit you, I said, raising my hand. She smiled. You wouldn't dare. She was right. I couldn't do it. My hand hung in the air. She suddenly grabbed my hand and slapped herself with it. Like that. My heart broke. I pulled her into a hug. Scarlet, please don't do that. The first year, her health declined rapidly. The intracranial pressure is too high, my professor said, looking at her brain scans. She needs surgery immediately. Outside the operating room, my hand shook as I signed the consent forms. The success rate is less than 30%. The surgeon warned me. She's not going to die, I said, staring at the red light above the door. She promised me. The surgery took 8 hours. When they wheeled Scarlet out, her head was shaved and wrapped in bandages. She's stable for now, the doctor said, patting my shoulder. I took her cold hand. Scarlet, I got into medical school. She weakly opened her eyes. Idiot. The second year, the targeted therapy stopped working. Try this new compound, I said, handing a vial to the nurse. It's from a paper I just had published. My advisor told me I was crazy. It hasn't even been through clinical trials. I'll stake my life on it, I said, looking at Scarlet's unconscious form. My life for hers. Miraculously, her fever broke. Now, she was crying when she woke up. Her first words were, I dreamed you left me. My own eyes were red as I helped her drink some water. Dreams are the opposite of reality, Scarlet. The third year, she was suddenly paralyzed. It's metastasized to her spine. The consulting doctors all shook their heads. 3 months at most. I scoured every medical journal in existence and designed a radical new treatment plan. You could die from this, I told her honestly. She smiled weakly. I am dying anyway. The treatment was torture. She gripped the bed rails so hard she bent them. But 3 months later, she could stand. Now, she said, holding onto the wall as she took a step toward me. Pretty impressive, huh? I rushed over and held her, sobbing like a child. The 4th year, the cancer spread to her liver. This is it. There's nothing more we can do, all the experts said. You've already bought her 3 years. That itself is a miracle. I refused to give up. I stayed awake for 72 hours straight, designing a new protocol. Just one more try, I begged the hospital director on my knees in his office. One last time, the director looked at my bloodshot eyes. Why are you so obsessed? Because she's my entire life, I said with a broken smile. The protocol worked. In the 5th year, I finally found the key. The genetic mutation is right here. I excitedly showed the data to my advisor. He was stunned. This is Nobel Prize-worthy material. That doesn't matter, I said, sprinting back to her room. Scarlett, we found it. There's a cure. She was coughing up blood, but when she saw me, she wiped her mouth and smiled. So noisy. The new therapy was like magic. Her tumors began to shrink. On the day I graduated, I brought my medical license to her. Leo, she said suddenly, I want to go to Iceland. I booked the tickets immediately. In the Hallgrímskirkja church in Reykjavik, I got down on one knee. Scarlett Reed, will you marry me? She pulled out a ring box of her own. I've been waiting 5 years to hear you say that. The only guests at our wedding under the northern lights were the two of us. She wore a white dress and looked like a dream. When we exchanged rings, she bit my finger. Does it hurt? She asked. Yes, I answered honestly. She gently licked the teeth marks. Remember this feeling? From now on, if you even think about dying before me. I cut off her threat with a kiss. Yes, Scarlett. On the flight home, she fell asleep on my shoulder. The flight attendant brought us champagne. I raised my glass to the clouds outside the window and made a silent toast. To medicine, to obsession, to our insane, perfect love.